Macman in for John. Good morning, Jody.
Good morning, Joe DeCamara. How the hell are you?
I mean, pretty good. I'm glad we got through one weekend of games. I hope to enjoy next weekend's more because
we could tell from Twitter, pal.
Right?
Your tweets were like a string of depression during the game. I know.
Emotionally flat. Like, Jody, I'm watching good football, and in some cases, like Seattle, great football. And generally good games. I mean, not every moment was great, but for the most part, compelling games. But I felt as a sports fan, I felt like I was a passive observer. Like I was watching, but I wasn't into it. Look, we'll ask everyone at 215-592-9494 what stood out to you this weekend. Obviously, in particular, as it relates to the Eagles. And this is not really my main point, Jody. But I will say I did feel emotionally flat. I really just... sometimes you just need to get that first weekend out of the way, and then hopefully next week I enjoy it more. What hits you, Jody?
Well, I guess
weekend?
Just the comparison between Joe D and Joe D.
Yeah.
I'm a glass half full guy. For me, it was, hey, Eagles didn't lose this weekend. That was my overall attitude. Maybe I'm
too
optimistic.
It differently, Jody.
By the way, Jody, can I say something?
Yeah.
That's not particularly glass half full. That is akin to, it was great? I didn't have to watch the Eagles offense this weekend.
There you go.
Oh.
Outstanding.
I think you could
Good
argue
attitude.
that watching the Niners play was like another Eagles loss.
Oh, man.
Honestly.
All right, so let's get to it. Let me tell you, the first thing that hit me this weekend, and this is not in order, but I mean, I should say the main thing, was the extreme greatness of Seattle. And just feeling like our team would not have measured up if they'd gotten to that point.
No.
You know what I'm saying, Jody? Like, that was... Seattle reminded me a lot of the 2017 Eagles. Twofold. One, extreme greatness. Two, kind of out of nowhere. All year, I think we all viewed Seattle as like, Seattle, right? They kind of
speak for yourself.
Well, okay, I will speak for myself, but I'll also speak for, I think, most Eagles fans. All year didn't take Seattle serious, and it struck me the way people probably in 2017 nationally didn't take the Eagles serious. Sometimes you can be
really Seahawks serious.
Seahawks this year. Like, sometimes you can be really legit really quick. And the Eagles would have gotten their freaking doors blown out by that team. But go ahead, Jody.
I was on the Seattle bandwagon from the start of the year. I make my wagers before the year starts, and this year I picked 2 AFC teams and 2 NFC teams. My AFC team's a problem because I take the Jets because they're the Jets.
Well, that's ridiculous.
And I took the Ravens.
Yeah.
And they tanked up on me. My 2 NFC teams were the Eagles and the Seahawks.
Yeah.
I had them going to the Super Bowl in a couple of pretty good wagers. I think it was like 5,000 to 1 that the Seahawks and the Jets played in the Super Bowl. So what the hell? You throw $2 on it, you make $10,000. Wow. But I really did
you
like them.
You lost $2 though.
I did. Thanks for pointing that out. But guess what? Doesn't bother me in the least. It buys me bragging rights to say I had the Seahawks going potentially to the Super Bowl before the year started, as Joe DeCamara just pointed out. Me and about 0.4% of everybody else. It's well worth the $2 to be able to say that. I thought they upgraded the quarterback tremendously. Sam Darnold is the most underappreciated quarterback in the National Football League.
Probably.
All he did was win 14 games last year for Minnesota.
Yeah.
And, they got beat in the first round of the playoffs, and, he didn't play well in that game. But because of that, he can't win in the playoffs. He'll never win when he gets. He's Sam Darnold because he played for 2 really bad teams, one of which was my Jets, the other of which was the Carolina Panthers. He sat 1 year and learned in San Francisco's backup position, and then goes to Minnesota, wins 14 games, goes to Seattle, wins 14 games. Yep. Oh, Sam Darnold can't win in the playoffs. How did he do yesterday?
Well, he was great. And listen, here's
with a bad oblique, no less.
I get
he didn't throw a football for 3 days.
Well, look, we'll ask you at 215-592.
They could have won without him throwing a football. That's dominant.
That's probably true.
We'll ask you at 215-592-9494. What stood out to you the most from this weekend, particularly as it relates to the Eagles? James, as it relates to the Eagles. Because I got a list of about 5 or 6 things, but give me what you got.
Yeah, I think it's twofold, and it's all related to watching the Niners play. Like, yes, Seattle was great. And I know it's an extra week and they're more beat up and stuff, but I mean, that Niners team is a joke comparatively. And it just, look, we knew this Eagles. I never thought this Eagles team was winning the Super Bowl. I thought they'd beat the Niners and lose in the next round anyway. But to go out against that team after watching how they showed up this week, like, it just makes the loss feel so much worse.
No question.
And it makes it feel that much more like effort and want to and stuff mattered because they're not. Everyone said, "Oh, most talented team in the league." The Eagles weren't. Like they were beat up. They weren't. They were definitely more talented than that Niners team I saw yesterday, without a doubt.
No, I mean, that is for sure on my list as well because that really stood out. So the greatness of Seattle plus the disasters of San Fran and knowing our squad lost, no question about that. And maybe that's number one for most people. Look, 215-592-9494. Rhea, what hits you the most?
Watching that Seattle-San Francisco game, we've gone over the problems with the offense. We're all well aware. I got more annoyed with the Eagles' defense. Because, I was one of those people, Eagles defense is as elite as Seattle. No, to allow San Francisco to score 23 points on you, missing everybody, and the emotion of losing George Kittle during the game, and they scored 23 points on you. 13 points in the fourth quarter. I can only imagine being Jeffrey Lurie sitting there watching.
Yeah, look, a lot of ways to go and react to 215-592.
The offense was the main reason they got beat by San Francisco. They just came up real small. But remember, when Elliott kicks the field goal with 8 minutes to go, they're leading the game.
Yep.
The defense, if it is as good as it's supposed to be, does not allow San Francisco to get that last touchdown, plain and simple. And Brock Purdy and 6 guys named Pete went down the field and scored a touchdown against the put-on-high Eagles defense. They don't go down the field against Seattle. If the game's sitting in the balance, they're not scoring that last possession.
This was not a good Eagles weekend. I mean, it just wasn't. You watch these games. Now, look, I will say this. I thought there were some good coaches with some massive blunders, and it gave me some appreciation of Sirianni.
Dude, I thought it was a disastrous
game management standpoint.
Ben Johnson yesterday, that was
horrible.
horrendous.
And
McVay, both of them, you're right. But Johnson out-bad McVay. I'm so with you, dude. I felt the same way. I felt like creative design, all that stuff, I get it. But in-game stuff,
horrible.
Horrendous
I'll just give you one moment that to me spoke horribly on both coaches in that game. So you got Ben Johnson takes a timeout with 2 minutes and 7 seconds left in the game, which affords McVay the chance on 3rd and long to be able to pass the ball. Because, even if the
2-minute warning's coming either way, it's like 6 seconds.
Even if the play doesn't take 7 seconds, the punt will take you to the 2-minute warning clearly. So, McVay can now pass it. So Ben Johnson gives him a free pass on 3rd and 10. And then McVay doesn't take it.
Exactly.
He runs the ball into the line. I'm like, am I losing
After having thrown earlier in nonsensical, it was so strange.
I get it. I think we all get that there is some outstanding play design out there. And, of course, we can bring it back from an Eagles standpoint. Is it that Sirianni and Patullo didn't know how to dial it up? Or is it that they don't believe Jalen can do it? And round we go. And probably in 5 years we'll know the answer based on when there's different circumstances, either with a coach or a quarterback or whatever, and we'll all figure that out in time. But obviously right now, everyone's screaming at everyone on who's more to blame, and I get it. It's a complicated situation. But one thing I did have some appreciation yesterday from an Eagles standpoint is I do like Sirianni's game management. I know a lot of people aren't in the mood to hear it today, and I'm not going to overdwell on it, but some really good coaches made some freaking disastrous blunders in this weekend's games. Now, I'll give you another one that also speaks well to the Eagles. Again, people aren't going to be in the mood to hear this. But, Jody, quarterbacks turning the ball over. At least Jalen.
Everywhere.
At least Jalen doesn't do that.
No.
I mean, I'm down on Jalen, but to his credit, he is a non-turnover machine. Some of these dudes, Jody, holy hell.
All of them this weekend.
I was looking up going,
It's unbelievable.
CJ at halftime? I legitimately was thinking that.
Of course. I mean, the broadcasts are talking about it in the second quarter of the game.
And Drake May is lucky C.J. Stroud was so bad because he had 3 or 4 turnovers himself.
He did. There was some sloppy football played by the quarterbacks this week. Some bad coaching. And if you want to tie it to the Eagles, even though they lost the game last week, Shanahan kicking a PAT at the end of the game to put them up by 5. What does 5 do for you? Nothing. You're already at 4. You've got a chance to get 2. If you get to 2, at least the Eagles don't get a touchdown. We've already seen Jake miss a PAT during the game. He slips, whatever. Boom, you're in overtime. What does being up by 5 points do with 2 minutes left to go? I've always said Shanahan is the best play designer in the National Football League, and it's not close. Best play caller in the National Football League, it's not close. pure in-game decisions.
Ridiculous.
Taking the football to start the Super Bowl in overtime against Kansas City. How ridiculous is that? As great as he is at some things, Shanahan has no clue about other things when it comes to coaching in the National Football League. Now, the Eagles didn't benefit from it, but they could have.
I'll give you another one. And again, I know this feels like a piling on, but I mean, and I love D'Amico Ryans, but why'd he punt the ball?
I mean, that didn't make sense.
What's the point?
It felt like he was conceding in that spot.
But what's the point?
No, I know. I'm saying it felt like he was conceding, and that's it was like, all right, he's like, I'm losing anyway.
But you go from like a 4% chance to win to 0.
Yeah,
so what's the point of 0?
It wasn't 0. They had their timeouts left. They needed to get a quick 3 and out.
Honestly, he probably thought a pick six or a fumble recovery is my best chance.
Touchdown. It wasn't impossible. It wasn't 0. It was
0.
The difference between 4 and 2. And if you don't like the drop off of the 2%, fine.
What do you make of it from an Eagles standpoint, guys? 215-592-9494. I mean, there's an awful lot to digest. Obviously, we covered a lot. There's a ton. We haven't even gotten to what is a catch, what isn't a catch, how people in Buffalo are feeling now, less than 48 hours later. Look,
how about me? I needed 10 yards to win my Brandon Cooks parlay. Like I had a parlay.
How much?
10 it wasn't that much. I would have won like $30, but 10 more yards, and he had it's like, come on.
215-592-9494. The Bo Bichette thing, the JT Real Muto thing, your chance to win a cool prize on our show, all of that is up ahead. Of course, you got to join our show in order to win the prize. 215-592-9494. What stood out to you the most from the NFL weekend as it relates to the Eagles? I do think the San Fran-Seattle thing has to be number one. How great Seattle looked, how bad San Fran looked, and what that says about our birds.